Lisa, 22, and I, 24, met 3 years ago at a street carnival. We were high in the frenzy and got talking. One thing led to another, and we exchanged phone numbers, hooked up after the carnival, and stayed in touch until we couldn't keep our feelings from interfering with our meetings. As I got to know Lisa more, I understood that she was from a struggling family and had to do multiple jobs to keep their heads above the water. In addition to that, she had siblings who were dependent on her. When I met Lisa, she had just gained admission into college, and I was challenged by her decision to pursue a college degree while working for meager pay at a restaurant. I saw a future with her and decided to be committed to her in our relationship. As a way to show my support for her as a boyfriend, I decided to take up the responsibility of sponsoring her college fees, as I was already earning decent at the time. Her mom was most grateful and would not cease to shower me with thanks and words of appreciation whenever she spoke of me over the phone. I could see the love her family had for me, and they could see the love I had for Lisa. It was so powerful, it extended to her siblings, both younger and older. Back at the college, Lisa shared an apartment with a friend, Tina, who was also a student, although I paid most of Lisa's part of the rent too. She was broke and I couldn't have her move into my place just yet. And besides, it was quite a distance from her school. Once in a while, I also paid them a visit, and when I did, I ensured to go loaded with supplies. One day I went to her place like other times, but that would be the beginning of the end for both of us. Climbing up the staircase to her floor, I could hear the loud noises of a bitter quarrel. It's not unusual for students and housemates to fall out with each other. Besides, there were other apartments on the floor, and it could have been anyone else. But as I got closer, I heard and recognized their voices, and it was indeed a terrible fight. My first plan was to go in and separate them, then settle things amicably. But I quickly stopped when I heard Tina spilling some incredible facts about Lisa and calling her a shameless hoe. At first I dismissed it as one of those things a girl would say to hurt another while in a fight. But I gave it a second thought when I heard Lisa say, "Yes, we're in shit together, but my man isn't broke and penniless like your man, who can't even afford a birthday gift." In response, Tina fired back, "At least I'm not cheating on my boyfriend that's paying for my college." I froze in my tracks and listened for more. I waited till my girlfriend refuted Tina's claims, but she didn't. I was horrified. It was the most shocking thing to find out about a girl I considered was my soulmate. And to make matters worse, we were just about to process her college fees for the term since she was running late on payment. Not knowing what to do, I quietly walked back downstairs and went away. Back at my place, I was restless. Since I had promised to show up at her place and didn't, I knew she would come to mine. I decided I'd go through her phone to see if I could find any trace of anything close to my suspicions. Text messages, social media messages, and all. It felt disgusting having to invade her privacy, but there was no way else to find out. Later that evening, Lisa came over to my place. It was a Friday evening and we usually spent it together. But that evening felt different, and she noticed it. She asked me what it was, and I just casually replied I had a terrible headache. And when she went to the kitchen to prep me some broth or other, I snooped in her phone. I quickly went through her text messages, but everything seemed clean. Her phone calls also, there were no suspicious numbers. It was almost as if I knew everyone on her contact list. I was disturbed. Something told me she was cheating, but there was no way to prove it. I was restless that weekend. My spidey senses were tingling and I knew something was wrong, but had no way of finding out. That's when I got the idea to directly confront Tina to tell me what she knew about Lisa. At first it was absurd, but the more I thought about it, the more it appeared to be the only way to find out. It beat my mind how Lisa could cheat so neatly, leaving no traces whatsoever behind. On the following Monday, I called her housemate Tina and proposed to meet with her. Tina obliged and we picked a low-profile venue. I explained to Tina that I was at their place when they had a fight, and I heard all that she said. I asked her to tell me the truth about Lisa and her extraneous relationship. At first she was hesitant. She didn't want to be the one who broke our relationship apart, as it would make her feel like a bad person. But I explained that she would be doing me a great favor, and if truly she wasn't in support of what Lisa was doing, she could prove it by telling me the whole story. I also offered to give her $200 as compensation, and reluctantly she agreed. Sadly, it turned out that Lisa has cheated on me since the very beginning, but maintained me as her actual boyfriend. I was stunned. I never imagined it. For the most recent guy she was cheating on me with, Tina explained that the brother of Lisa's coworker at the restaurant where she worked had come with a hot friend of his to the restaurant to have a nice time, and that was how they met. Since then, Lisa had spent all her Thursday nights and Sunday evenings with him. I was dumbfounded. It was so carefully planned out. She spent Thursday night with him and Friday night with me. I thought she worked on Sunday evenings, but obviously she didn't. She spent it with him, got dropped back at work, and came to my place for the night. I was so infuriated. The nerve of this woman. I decided I had to see it with my own eyes. Later that evening, Lisa called to ask if I had processed the payment as it would expire in 7 days from that Monday. I told her I was experiencing some difficulties and I would retry it. On Thursday before her closing hours, I walked into the opposite shop from her restaurant and observed. By 5 p.m., a red car pulled up beside her workplace, and a few minutes later she walked out and got into it, and they drove off. I quickly went to my car and got on their tail. After following for quite some time, we arrived at what would be his house. From a distance, I saw them step out of the car and get into the house. I was mad. I regretted knowing her. I got out of the car and banged on the door. The door immediately opened up. Both smiling, and girlfriend had an arm around his neck. I guess they must have been making out against the door. When she saw me standing there, blood drained from her face and she covered her mouth in shock. The guy looked confused. I told him that she was my girlfriend, but he can keep her because as of now she's my ex-girlfriend, and I simply left. She came running after me and I could hear the door being slammed shut as well, so double rejection. She pleaded and kept crying that it was a mistake and that she was doing it because she was so stressed from school. She kept blowing my phone up the rest of the day, but I just muted it. I decided to sleep over at my friend's place because I knew she'd find her way to my house, but I wasn't ready to see her. But soon I received a call from my neighbor that someone was seriously banging on my door. I explained that although my car was parked there, I wasn't home. They asked her to leave or they would call security. When I checked my phone, I received a call from her mother saying that she was told Lisa told her that we both got in a fight. I told her that I would explain shortly and hung up. The next day was Monday, and I had to drag myself to work, and who do I have waiting for me there? Yep, Lisa. She started pleading her case again and started the waterworks. I was so embarrassed as passers-by were looking as well. She just wouldn't listen that I was done with her, but I was fed up. So I warned her never to set foot in my office ever again, or I'll call police. Her whole demeanor changed after that. She just kinda spiraled out of control and raised her voice, basically shouting at me that I needed to pay her next semester fees, because she's halfway through the year and it's just unfair that I would back out of it now. For a moment, I saw how uncaring she actually was. If she valued me as a human and not as her ATM, this would not be how she'd be approaching this situation. She kept raising her voice, and finally the guard who was watching from a distance kicked her out. She kept calling me and messaging me for weeks, saying I ruined her life by refusing to fund the rest of her college life.